So did you share a little wisdom with them?
Yeah, she did. I don't know if I like one about anything.
So we were talking about,
How's that doing nothing, man? Why do you want to follow on?
if you don't mind my putting you on the spot, you guys are talking about goals, right? And you said you're having a hard time writing them down, right? What did you share with him about putting it into bite-sized pieces?
Yeah, breaking them down. So it can be overwhelming when you sit down and you start to write down all the things you want to accomplish and all the things that you want to do. So one of the things that I did was, and I'm going to complete it, is divided it into different categories. And I started off with my spiritual. What are my spiritual goals? What health-wise, where do I want to be at? Family-wise, where do I want to be at? Financially, where do I want to be at? So all these goals that can be a numerous amount of them, I narrow down into specific categories, and then from there I choose 3, 4, 5 to really focus on.
Okay, so I've mentioned this before, and I'll keep reiterating it because remember, you got to hear something 4 times before we start to absorb it, right?
Right.
Everything that we've done in here builds on itself. And if you haven't noticed, it kind of does this.
How my brain feels, yeah.
Okay, so we start, we move forward, we come back to something we talked about earlier, we come back to it again, we stay focused on it, we move forward. So this is our trajectory. It looks messy, it looks sloppy. But the fact is, we started here, and without moving all these places, we never would end up anywhere further than where we were, right? It's the same thing with when you're achieving your goals. But the reason it keeps looping back on itself is it's all building on itself. So if you start, let me ask you this. If you were to start doing these trainings, where should you begin?
The beginning.
At the beginning. It's a logical question, logical answer. Start at the beginning. So now I can see, just so you guys know, I can see in the YouTube analytics who watches, not who. Let me rephrase it. I can see when it's watched. A lot of people have watched the beginning one, the very first one. And then you can see that the enthusiasm dwindles as you move forward. Now, there were 5 views on the most recent one. So, still, there's 5 of you who are still, eager to continue. But 7 today, right? Yeah, so thank you. Now, I do harp on the fact that they're in the YouTube channel because I go back, and I'm the one up here, right? I go back and I rewatch them to see what did I miss, right? Because as I'm sharing, I'm learning as much as you. I'm probably learning more, right? That's one of the best things about being up here is it's making me better at this. Because my whole goal, what is my goal of being up here with you guys?
To inform, to motivate, to give like a process.
To inform, motivate, give process.
Help us give us
The
a
best
tool.
version of yourself.
Yeah, it's literally it's sharing with you so that you can create whatever it is that is your standard at a new level, right? And I don't know what, go ahead.
On your YouTube channel, does it go from like part 1, part 2, part 3?
Yeah, they're
so
numbered.
You can watch them all up.
Sequentially. They're numbered 1 through 13 right now. This one will be 14,
Okay.
right? So that you can go in order.
Right.
And eventually, if the need arises, there will be subcategories. There will be, if we take off down a certain path, which we will. Today we're going to talk about something important. You mentioned, Sean, that you're having trouble. Let me make sure I remember what you said correctly. You're having trouble writing your goals down because there's so many of them, right? Or they keep changing. Who else is having trouble writing the goals down? Okay. So, off the cuff, how many of your goals do you think you have that have changed on you?
It's hard to say because I do have kind of like what he was talking about, different
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 subcategories.
categories.
So, but if you had to guess, how many do you think have changed? And if half were an actual number,
So 8.
8. How many of those have you written down? So 8 of them have changed. So you still have 8 that are consistent. Where are those written down?
In my folder at home.
In your folder at home. Okay. So, when we say things like, and I'm going to start here because this is very important. When we say things like, I'm having a hard time writing down my goals. And I said, what did I say to you? I said, that sounds like an excuse if I ever heard one. Because what we do is, we do not have a hard time of writing down goals. How hard is it to write down goals?
Not hard at all, just do it.
Not hard at all. You just got to put pen to paper, right? If you've written down 16 goals and 8 of them have changed, you haven't had a hard time writing down your goals. So be careful the language you use. Be careful what you tell yourself about your process, right? Because writing down the goals isn't the hard part, right? You wrote them down, supposedly.
Sure.
If you're having a hard time writing them down, then all you have to do is sit down and put pen to paper, right? That's all it means. So be careful the way you language the challenges you're going through. Now, if you're in a state of overwhelm because you don't know how to do it, go through the goal setting video. Now, the first couple of videos aren't as good as far as being able to see everything that's on the screen, right? Because I start with the video over here, then it's over here, right? So there's 2 that it's off center. And then when I finally figured out that the video needs to be right in the middle, things get a little easier. So if you have a question about something in particular, reference a timestamp in a YouTube video, and I'm happy to go back through it, see which one you're talking about, and let's go one-on-one, right? We can spend...
Comments turned on your thing, right?
Yeah, I don't think I have comments off. I'll double check that.
If somebody can ask a question right there.
Yeah, go right in there. Thank you. Yeah, go right in, put a comment, say, hey, when you said this, I didn't see what you wrote down, and I promise you I can recreate it. Thank you. So be careful what you're saying when you say I'm having a hard time writing down my goals, right? And the thing that I'm bringing up is language. Now, when you're setting goals, you can be in a state of overwhelm. Now, let me ask you guys, anybody have something in their lives, some sort of objective or goal that they're trying to pursue that feels difficult? Anybody? Yeah. So when you have a difficult task before you, or something that you find is impossible, something you have a difficulty doing, how many steps do you break that challenge into? So I'll give you an example. Think about this. Oh man, I really don't want to go to the gym. Well, why don't you want to go to the gym, Stephen? Well, because if I go to the gym, that means I got to put on a shirt, I got to put on my shoes, I got to put on gym socks. I can't just wear it. I got to find the right pair of pants.
Wake up early.
I got to wake up early. I got to make the coffee. I've got to make the protein shake. I've got to go outside, get in my car, drive to the gym, make sure that my key fob's working, go in, work out, come home.
Make sure I can get in the gym.
I'm at 15 things already, right? So what we do is we slice down and we create a million little routine, right? Little nuisances that get us there. Where somebody who's motivated to go to the gym, I get up and I go. It's all one chunk, right? Think about it. When you're learning to drive a car, what do you have to do? You have to walk around the vehicle, you have to get in, you have to adjust the seat, adjust the steering wheel, adjust the mirrors, you got to turn the vehicle on, right? There's a whole bunch of steps. But now you're so used to driving, it's called driving. You get in and go. You don't even have to think about it. We talked about it last time. Sometimes you're so used to driving that you'll get in the car, meaning to go one way, you go out to lunch in your brain and you end up driving the wrong direction because your muscle memory's taking over, right?
Yeah.
Did that a lot.
So when you're in a state of overwhelm, it's because you've chunked it into too many pieces. And going bite-sized helps here, right? Realizing, okay, I have a lifelong goal. You know, there's an exercise for a reason. The reason I give you the eulogy exercise here is because it allows you to paint a picture. It allows you to go out into the future. Remember, that's the eulogy exercise. Go out into the future and talk about all the things that you're grateful for having become. All right. So when you're in a state of overwhelm, when you're in a state of overwhelm, you need to realize, okay, this is something that I'm feeling. What does the feeling of overwhelm mean?
You got a lot of stress and anxiety.
You have stress and anxiety.
Pressure on yourself.
You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. Yeah.
You're arguing with people.
Uncomfortable.
It means you're uncomfortable
You don't know where to start.
because you don't know where to start.
Walking.
So when you have a feeling called uncomfortable, what do you have to do?
Make yourself comfortable feeling uncomfortable.
Be comfortable feeling uncomfortable. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I guess we say if it's your first day at the gym, you're uncomfortable. I seen it this morning. You're uncomfortable. This girl, lady walking around uncomfortable. You could tell. She kind of didn't know what. But someone like me that's been going there for several years, I knew my routine is set. Routine. People don't quit. Routines don't quit. People good routines don't quit people. People quit good routines.
Yeah. So, success. Life is really just a series of routines. And we talked about it last time, Jim Rohn's quote that says that there's no magic pill, right? And the quote that I brought up from Jim Rohn, and I wish I had it with me today. I'll have to bring it up here and like pin it to a wall or something.
What's his name?
Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N.
Oh yeah.
But what Jim Rohn says is that there is no magic pill, and that success is the consistent application of the basic fundamentals. So when you're in a state of overwhelm or you're feeling uncomfortable, it's a signal to you. All right, what does uncomfortable tell you? You feel the stress and anxiety. You feel the discomfort.
Lost.
You feel lost. You're outside of your routine. You're somewhere between order and chaos. And it feels like you're slipping into chaos because you're uncomfortable. You're in a state of overwhelm. You don't know where to start. So what do you have to do? What do you have to do to overcome that?
I guess your action.
What action do you have to take?
But first of all, you gotta figure out a way to make yourself organized, unoverwhelmed. You got to come up, create steps to wherever it is you're trying to go.
Okay, so when you feel this sense of overwhelm and you notice that you are uncomfortable, that's really what it does to you. Overwhelm means there's so many things coming at me that I don't know where to start. So that's what you have to do. You have to organize your mind. You got to stop for a moment and say, these are the handful of things that are really in front of me. Because what do? And we do this not only with goals, but like you said, writing down your goals. You told me that you were having trouble writing down your goals. And I put you on the spot and I asked you where you wrote them down. And I think, and I could be wrong, so don't take offense to this, I think that it's your way of stalling on actually writing down the goals that you don't have yet. The goals that you feel like, well, it's changed a little bit, and so I'm not writing them down, but the way that I justify not writing them down is saying that they're changing.
Well,
And hang on, no, I'm not asking for a conversation on this one. I'm saying it because I've done it myself. Okay, so I believe that you may have written a couple of them down and they changed on you. Now it's your way of pausing and saying, I'm not going to write this one down because it could change. You didn't follow and this is not to put you on the spot, so I apologize if it's embarrassing. It's not meant to embarrass. It's meant to help you, call you forward. I think what happens is when we write our goals in such a way that it's not really what our goal is, they seem like they change. Right? And the state of overwhelm and discomfort that you're experiencing is because you haven't gone through the steps, right? You haven't looked at it. And if you go back and you say, okay, if I do it this way, if I break it down into the different categories, using the wheel of life and using the short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals, then I'll come up with at least one in each domain that actually makes sense to me. And you might have an overarching story like that. But if, let's say our goal is to, and I'm going to step away from, I appreciate you sharing, and I think it's important what you shared. because this whole discomfort and overwhelm it's a universal truth. But what happens to us when we set goals and we try to achieve them is we run into a pattern of doing one or two things that don't work, telling ourselves that we've tried everything. Right?
Just a quick question. This might sound kind of odd, but what if uncomfortable is actually a good place to be?
Uncomfortable is always a good place to be. Well, let me rephrase that. Uncomfortable is often a good place to be. Uncomfortable is often a good place to be.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, because comfortable can lead to complacent.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
That's what the yin and the yang is, right? Did everybody figure out that's what I drew up there? Right?
Yeah.
That's a very crude yin yang, right? This is, do you know what yin and yang represent? I'll go off on a tangent here for a moment. So normally it's black and white, right?
Light and dark, good and bad.
like
Right.
good and bad. Yeah.
Could be one.
Moon versus sun.
Order, balance, and things.
Pros and cons.
Okay, so the light represents order. The dark represents chaos. The light and the dark represents the fact that within chaos arises order. And the dark and the light represents the fact that chaos can arise within order. This is a Taoist symbol. Lao Tzu wrote the Tao, the way, Tao Te Ching, right? The middle path in Buddhism is the path between order and chaos. We are not meant to be happy. We are meant to contend with nature. Right? And I'll get off the soapbox in a minute. But the only way that you'll be happy is by toying that line and creating creating order within chaos as you travel into chaos. If you, and that's discomfort, that's uncomfortable that you're talking about. That's where it's good. Now you wander too far into chaos and you aren't able to create order within it. That's where you feel overwhelmed. The more order that you possess within your being, the secret of routine, the more capable you are of bringing order out of chaos. It's literally what we're talking about here, right? That's why I went down that path for a moment. Because, now where was I going before you got me on that tangent? Because you were asking me about uncomfortable. You lost me.
He was saying that it could be a good thing. It's often a good thing. And then he was asking the transition from being uncomfortable.
Yes.
How can someone be comfortable? And we're saying that sometimes our routine or consistency.
Yes. So often, and this is where we're going, often on your path to success, we'll make an attempt at something. And we'll try to do something. And then we'll try to do something else. And then we may or may not try some variation of one or the other, but we'll do a third thing. And then we'll say, I can't do it. Right? We meet with failure, and we call it a stopping point. And we say, I can't make it work. Let's take, for example, co-videos. Who's used co-videos before? When you use co-videos, do they work?
Yes, yeah, an effective one, a good one, depending on what you put in.
When you make phone calls to set appointments, do they work?
Yes.
When you follow the road to the sale, to sell a car, does it work?
Yes.
Does it ever not work?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work because you can't control. There's things
There are variables that you can't
control. Real objections.
So what we end up doing on our path to success is we'll try something doesn't work, and then we'll say, it doesn't work. Let me try something else.
Like I hear people go, oh man, I went on a diet, it didn't work for me. You gotta try a
It
different
didn't
one.
work. It didn't work for me, right?
Right.
Well,
Keto,
the keto diet, it didn't work for me.
you gotta try something else.
Well, why didn't it work for you? Why didn't it work for you?
Because you like bread too much.
Ah, see, so you didn't work it.
Yeah, where you really.
Yeah,
where you
because
committed
ketosis
to it.
is a science. It's science. It depends on metabolism, right? Steve depends on your But ketosis, when your body goes into ketosis, it is designed to work, right? Burn fat instead of carbs.
I believe the only time it doesn't work is when you don't do it.
When you don't do it right.
But
Right.
You can't stay that way forever.
But you will go through a weak withdrawal part. You will go
So
through a
you're-
withdrawal.
I'm talking a
Yeah.
year from now.
So-
Lost the weight you wanna lose.
It's different levels for each
That is,
individual.
so I love what we're doing here. Say that again.
Different level. Which one?
It doesn't,
Sean, you can't stay like that forever.
After
You
a
can't
year,
keep doing it.
You lost all the weight, your body can't.
Is that true?
It's not healthy.
Is that a fact? It's not healthy. Is that a fact?
Yes, sir.
Man, it depends on your body.
Each,
Depends on the person, right?
each
Because
person,
You can't
keto
speak
can be
ketosis
dangerous.
forever.
yeah, each person is different depending on their genetical makeup.
So,
So I guess what I'm saying is, if something like if someone to try keto, it might not work for them. Even if they you know, eat the proper diet meals, diet foods, it might
Okay.
not work for them. I don't
so
know.
keto is a strategy.
Right. Yep.
Whether or not it works is the story.
Yep.
So when you're goal setting and you're attempting to do something, you have a strategy and you have a story. Now, what is a strategy?
No plan of action.
A plan of action, okay?
Process
A process
of action.
of action. I love that we're tying action to it because obviously
You gotta-
right?
you
you gotta have it.
goal,
Yeah.
to accomplish your goal.
Okay, so strategy is a plan of action, method of action, any type of approach, right,
It's an outcome.
to produce an outcome. A strategy. It's kind of like a recipe, right?
Ingredients.
Right. A recipe contains ingredients, quantities, timing, right? All sorts of important information. That's what strategies are. They're recipes. So we have a strategy for success and we have a strategy for failure. You have a strategy for if you've ever been creative in your life, you have a strategy for being creative. If you've ever been certain or unstoppable, you have a strategy for being so.
You don't even need a plan to fail.
No, you don't need a plan to fail.
But in a way, you do.
In a way you do.
Yeah.
So-
Again,
So,
failure-
if someone was to start a diet, it's not saying you can't. You necessarily don't necessarily. I guess you can say you plan a diet if you buy like a meal plan, like for HelloFresh that I'm doing now. But it's science to it. If you eat the foods they send you is based on your macros. If you go to the doctor and they measure your macros and you eat what he tells you to eat, he knows how to make someone lose weight. He's a doctor.
So that's very clearly a strategy, right?
To go see a doctor first.
Now let's touch on what Isaiah is saying, because Isaiah is making a good point. He's saying, I'm saying that not subscribing to a food plan, not planning out your meals, not approaching this scientifically is also a strategy.
a hard one. Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is whether or not
How is that a strategy?
you have a strategy, it's unconscious in nature.
Right.
You see?
So
So it's your plan. It's the plan of action. It's the approach that you're following.
Right.
Now, the fact that you didn't do it intelligently, it's a totally different conversation, but it's a strategy.
It's for plan carried out.
So, no plan is a strategy?
No plan is a strategy, unfortunately, because that's the strategy that most people use.
There's no right. You can do that.
But there's no, okay, this is my brain telling me to strategize, to be strategic, it takes some thought, right? But if in reverse, the opposite, if I say, look, I'm gonna just be a couch potato, I don't have to manifest that thought in order to act out that way. I could literally
You don't think
wake
so?
up and not do nothing and just decide to, subconsciously, like you said, but at the same time, there's no effort put into it. No thought
Okay.
put into it.
So the difference between what we're saying, because we're playing a semantic game at this point, and it's an important game to play.
Semantics, right.
That's why I brought it up today.
If I do it,
Just because it doesn't require effort
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's not a strategy.
you could lose.
You absolutely had to have a thought first. Absolutely had to have a thought.
No one goes on a diet without a thought.
Right.
Something needs to change.
Well, he used one. See, a diet is that is effortful, right? So that would fall into the category of strategies. We're talking about now for a moment couch potatoes.
Okay?
To sit and do nothing requires no effort. You didn't have to have the thought. You did have to have the thought. You thought to yourself because you have something called an internal representation, and you have something called physiology. Okay? That produces your state. Which leads to your behavior. So when you decide that I'm going to be a couch potato today, I'm not going to go give my effort at work, I'm not going to put any time. I'm going to create an excuse and find a reason to sit on the couch and do nothing. You may have had a very quick internal representation of how comforting that would be. And then you carried it out physiologically. You had a physiology as you thought it. You created a state, which led to more behavior.
But then in that case, that kind of contradicts what he was saying about you don't have a plan to fail. Because, I mean, at that point, you
I am
made a
contradicting
plan
that.
And you were successful at it.
I am contradicting that, yes. So what I'm trying to propose, what I'm offering you is, even without a plan, you have a plan. You don't have to plan to fail. You don't have to, right? It's not a necessary condition. It's a sufficient one. Meaning if you have a bad plan, it will lead you to failure. But not having a plan can also lead you to failure. You see, I'm saying they go in the same it's all semantics at that point.
Not quite, because the failure is in not planning. You failed to plan.
The failure can be in not planning. I agree with that. I believe that overlaps with it. By not having a plan, you plan to fail. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying by not planning, you failed to plan.
By not planning, you fail to
Nothing
plan.
can come from nothing.
If you aim at nothing, you hit it every time.
Exactly.
Deal. Don't disagree with that.
Drake, you do the same.
We're playing the same game. That's an important thing, though, right? Because it's the same thing.
I can go to the gym, show up, go there, take the necessary process to get there, and then stand in there and do nothing.
And do it wrong.
And do it wrong.
But hold up.
And I
You started somewhere, though. You started somewhere. You actually had to physically get in the car. and go to the gym.
But guess what? I'm going back to what I'm saying. But when I first got to the gym years ago, I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. Now it's to the point where, man, it's a routine, it's a lifestyle. Or one.
I get it. But what I'm saying is you took the first step, which means at that point, you've actually had a plan. Now, whether you follow through with it is a different story. But what he's talking about is, not doing anything at all. At that point, you have failed to plan. So therefore, you can't accomplish something without having a strategy or an action
But
put together to get to wherever it is you're trying to go.
But I can maintain. Okay, that's still a plan though. What I'm saying is, if someone's to do nothing.
So let me interrupt, right? Because I'm hearing you, and let me see if I'm putting the pieces together for you both. Because I agree with you. I agree with both of you. And I agree with most of what you said, Isaiah. And I think it's important distinctions to make. It's why we brought up the language. Because this is where we started today. We started with the goal setting stuff, right? And the language that we use around it. Now, here's the problem. What you're saying is that if you take the proper steps in the beginning, and what you two are saying together, you say, I have a plan, I can go, and in the beginning, my strategy is imperfect. But by having a routine where I'm uncomfortable, over time, I reiterate and I develop a strategy that works. That's the same thing I'm saying. What you're saying is the same thing as well. But you're saying, by failing to produce an intelligent strategy, by failing to follow an intelligent strategy, you have failed to plan your strategy, and therefore you set yourself up to fail. So actually you succeeded in what you set out to do. Right? I threw that last part in.
Are you really failing if you don't have a plan?
Absolutely.
What are you failing at?
But you're foggy. At whatever it is you actually want to accomplish, but you have not set down on paper. Or, let me rephrase that because paper is my thing.
Well, you simply haven't tried, right? Or I guess you should say it like that.
No, because you unconsciously have desires. You have goals that you're after. You have things that you actually want to accomplish. But by keeping yourself foggy and by not laying out
There has to be a foundation.
category for failure, the categories of failure, you will fail all the time and not know it until it's too late.
That's a rock bottom process. I think.
You can arrive at.
If you come in and don't do that, they're gonna fire you.
Yeah, you can
If
arrive at
come in
rock.
and sit there, they're gonna fire you.
You can arrive at rock bottom real fast that way.
Yeah, you rock bottom.
So-
you're knocking on my door, right?
So, is that a fair enough summation?
Fair enough. If you do
I don't
nothing,
disagree with that last statement.
if someone has nothing, they're homeless, right?
I think the only way you cannot have a plan
If you
subconsciously.
don't do anything, your plan is to be homeless.
Yeah, if you don't get your ass out of bed, and go to work, and get a job, you get homeless.
No, not necessarily.
That's the point that he's
If you're a
making.
trust company, that's different.
Even though you didn't set off to have a place or to have inspirations or to have desires, it's still a plan subconsciously. You're doing nothing.
You're right.
And that's his
I got
point.
a homegirl.
You consciously plan on doing nothing.
That's right. Yeah, see, you don't make them do much, right? Yeah.
So there's always a
I was
plan.
just gonna say, like, you got some people that, right? Like, for instance, I know somebody who they girl go to work, pay the bills, and they sit at home and literally twiddle their thumbs off. They play video games and stuff like that. There's people out here like that. They don't have no motivation. To get
So, what
up
is the
and
case
do
you're trying to make for them?
that they don't.
So,
they
because
don't
I'm not
have a
I'm not
plan.
disputing the fact that there are lazy ass people out there.
I don't feel like they don't have a plan to fail. They're comfortable where they're at and don't have a plan to do anything to elevate themselves.
So
they've
is
So
been
they're
enabled.
content. Like, I know I'm good.
with people like that,
have to
is
worry
are they
about
really
it.
feeling? That's the question. With a person like that, is a person like that actually feeling? If he
Not
has no
really.
desires and no goals or no
I mean-
dreams or no ambitions.
It depends on what you say. Where you.
But that's their
I mean, as a man, just wanting to provide for yourself and not. Just, I don't know.
Don't you
I
think-
mean,
So hang on.
I think
So I'm trying to understand, right? And I'm listening, and I'm trying to understand the point, right? Because we can say things, right? It's just like doing things without actually getting anything done. We're just saying things right now. We were talking about plans and failure. We're talking about strategies. So what is the point about somebody who is being lazy on a couch related to strategies?
because at the end of the day,
Are they or are they not exercising a strategy?
Just people
I
doing
mean,
that.
they're not trying to. They don't have any plans to.
Are they or are they not exercising a strategy?
Not necessarily.
Maybe it's not your strategy, but are they exercising a strategy?
Is a trust company that got income?
You
They don't have
can't
to
do anything without a strategy.
Right, even a handicapped person has a strategy.
Is it your strategy? No. But your ability to recognize that worlds outside of your own exist is a very important fact that you need to, a distinction you need to be able to make.
Yeah, if you think something goes all that's what life is, then yeah, you
Yeah,
ain't moving forward.
listen,
right?
there are 8 billion different ways to do this thing that we call life.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
Just because it's not your strategy doesn't mean it's not a strategy. So all I'm getting to here, all right, so let's get back on track, right? Because I think this conversation was important because I think me saying everything isn't always what I'm after here, right? That's why I do let it go. I know, if you're watching this back later, you're like, what the hell? He lost control. No, like these are important conversations. You speaking up, you sharing. Like I appreciate it. And when I do need to move the ball forward, I will, right? But thank you, because listen, this is our conversation. And what we're getting at is the fact that, okay, yeah, you're right. If you fail to plan, it is a plan to fail. And just because you don't have a plan doesn't mean you can't fail. Everything that you do, you have a strategy for, whether it's conscious or unconscious. If you've been successful at selling a car, you have a strategy for it. The problem is if you don't know what that strategy is, then you don't know how to recreate it. If you've been focused on a goal and able to sit down and write out your goals and do the exercises, you have a strategy for being committed to your success. If people you ever heard about, writer's block? Mm-hmm. What is writer's block? So an author sits down and can't get words out, right? They have a strategy for overcoming writer's block. All writers do. If you sit down and you can't get yourself to accomplish something, it's because you don't know the strategy that you have for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So everything we do in life, we have a strategy for. We have recipes. That's where the recipe comes in. right? There's things. So you ever heard of the VAC? I'm gonna throw this at you real quick, then I'm gonna move forward. VAC, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. So you have modalities. There's also gustatory and olfactory, right? So those are your 5 senses, right? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, gustatory, and olfactory. Right? Gustatory is taste, and olfactory would be smell. Your olfactory sense of memory is actually stronger than your visual memory. That's why you can smell grandma's cookies and all of a sudden you're back on Christmas Eve, sitting beneath the tree, right? But visual, auditory, and kinesthetic cues, right? These are the 3 states that people tend to be in. Now, when you're trying to move somebody who's visual, right? Visual people speak faster, they have more energy, right? Auditory people are very keen on the words that are being used, and kinesthetic people are all about feeling, right? If you have somebody in front of you who is kinesthetic, and you are in a visual state, you're going to be incongruent with them, you're not going to be able to move them. Okay? So, what we're talking about here is strategies and stories, because what we're really getting to today is state management. And I'm not going to get to spend as much time as I'd like to on state management. But I'm going to offer you an exercise that you can use to manage your state. Because there are 3 things that you have whenever you're trying to produce any sort of result. You have strategies, stories, and states that you can rely on. Strategy is how to, the story is why. The problem is, if you have a strategy to accomplish a goal, but you don't believe that it's possible, the story you tell yourself, we were talking about keto for a minute, because if you say, well, you can't stay on that forever, then you've created up a story. It's not true. You can't stay on keto forever. There's zero harm in eating that way. Unless, you need to pay the agricultural department, their bills, right? That's what the whole food pyramid is. Come on. They sold you a bill of goods. I promise you they did. But you have a strategy and a story. You have a how and you have a why. That's why we do this. This is the how and this is the why, right? So it's part of your success map. But if you're in a state that is not powerful, is not conducive to actual creating power within yourself, that's your problem. So we've talked about language, and we've talked about physiology, and we haven't really talked about it here, but we've done this in the past. But your beliefs. In order to change your state is formed by internal representations and patterns of physiology. They lead to your behaviors. You have language. That's why we started there today, because you brought it up. And I it's a good place to start. You have language. You have things that you say to yourself about what you're doing. You have beliefs about what you're doing. And we talked about the beliefs tables and how to reinforce or destroy beliefs, right? Everybody remember that? If you don't, go back and watch it. So your language and your beliefs are the easiest ways. Those are the ways that we try to change ourselves. That's what writing is all about when we're doing all these writing exercises. It's how to reinforce our language and our beliefs. Using language and beliefs to reinforce what we're feeling is really what we're getting at. But what I'm going to offer you is a state change, or a way to change your state if you choose to. Who has a morning routine? Yeah? When you get up in the morning, you're starting to develop one. Okay, this is kind of what this is about. It's about developing a morning routine. If you don't do it right when you wake up, fine, don't do it. But do it when you get here. Tell me a little bit about your routine, if you will.
Well, first thing I do is obviously go to the bathroom, and then I make my bed. Then I get my dog ready, I get dressed, sweatpants, whatever, get my dog ready to go for a walk. Then I come back and put the coffee in. Then I take a couple sips of coffee, shit, shower, shave, get dressed, try to meditate. I don't get a chance every time, depends on the dog and other things. Try to do some stretching exercises. I listen, you guys are gonna laugh, I listen to some Joel Osteen on the way to work. And then I get psyched out and come to work. That's my basic routine every day.
Thank you. Juan, what's yours?
I get up around 5, and a running group usually gets to my house around 5:15. We go for a run, and then we have a group workout at 6.
Okay. What about yours? What are you developing?
Me, I'm waking up early in the morning to, well, if I wake up at the time that I like to wake up, I get to wake up, pray, and hit the gym. Come home, make breakfast, say hi to the kids, play with them for a little bit, get ready, wife kiss, come on the road and listen to audiobooks, or pray on the way. I continue to pray and or listen to music to get pumped up.
Okay. Anybody else? Morning routine?
My alarm goes off at 4:30. I'll be at the gym by 4:45. I'm there for 45 minutes. I come home, take the dogs out, make sure my lunch is prepped. I go out on the porch and I free my mind. And then I come back in the house, take a shower, have church in my bathroom, and then I leave.
Excellent. So, when you're going throughout your morning routine, attempting to meditate, meditating, praying, holding church in the bathroom,
Shirley
Up in
Caesar
the
in the
shower,
back. Shirley
first
When-
some
Caesar.
praise and worship.
when you're doing these things,
After I free my mind in the morning.
when you free your mind, I like that. When you're doing these things, there's a certain way that you're communicating with yourself.
Mhm.
And I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to offer you this. I'm going to encourage you when you start your days. I would encourage each of you to wake up. First thing, come up with 3 things that you're grateful for. So what I'm encouraging you to do, to be very clear on what I'm asking you to do, I'm asking you to start waking up and associate to gratitude.
Every time I put my feet on the floor, I'm grateful.
And I want you to imagine this. Imagine that in life, the only things that you get to keep, the only things you can have moving forward are the things that you're grateful for. So if you're not grateful for your eyesight, you lose it. If you're not grateful for your job, you lose it. If you're not grateful for the ability to breathe, you lose it. Hair, you lose it. Your clothing, you'll lose it. Everything. If that were the case, if it were true that if you weren't grateful for it, you would lose it, how many things could you come up with to be grateful for?
I need to wake up early in the morning.
Yeah.
Make it work.
So the whole point is what I'm asking you to do is to associate to gratitude, right? Because if I say to you, wake up and write down 3 things you're grateful for every morning, so many people would have a hard time writing down what they're grateful for. Whereas if you set yourself up by saying, I can only keep the things in my life that I'm grateful for, that list becomes extensive. And so I'm offering you that without giving you the challenge, right? I was going to ask you to write things down first. This time I'm not going to ask you to write it down. I'm going to offer you that if you want to really change your life, if you want to go to a new level in your goal setting and in your success, in your achievements, start with gratitude. We'll get to why. Matter of fact, maybe we'll go a little bit longer here. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to turn. We got enough people. I'll pair up with somebody too. I want you to turn to somebody and I want you to have an interaction. You're going to do a meet and greet with each other as though you are annoyed and you do not want to be there. So Cleavon, if you'll turn around. Ricky, if you'll turn around. You'll turn around. Isaiah, if you want to come up here with me. I want you to come on. You're going to be absolutely annoyed. You are pissed off. You do not want to be talking. You are so mad about this. You are annoyed.
It looks like it's easy for you to be pissed
Do it.
off, Rick. I'll let
Go.
you know.
All right. This shit
Come on.
again today, man.
Come on. Come on. Yeah, come on. What's the sound of the board? What do you want?
I need a car, man. Hold on, please stop me.
Yeah. I need a car. What do you mean you need a car?
I mean, I need a car to go from place to place.
Why'd you come here? I don't even want to deal with you right now.
I'll do it with an introvert.
Come here. All right.
What's the
All right, hang on. All right, let's come back, because I hear a lot of laughing. Nobody sounds pissed off. Let's try it again. Who feels like they can do this well? You feel like you can do it? Come on. So, you're pissed off. You're pissed off with me. You're annoyed. You do not want to be having a conversation.
Envision Elvis, because I know that's how you get.
Hey, welcome to Somerville Fort.
There you go.
I'm good. What the hell are you doing here?
I'm just here.
Well, that does me a lot of fucking good.
That makes two of us.
So what the hell do you want?
I want to go home.
Get the fuck out of here.
I think that's what I'm gonna do.
I can do, you should pissed off, just pissed off.
Now, yeah, pissed off is different for different people. Thank you. Now imagine you're shy. All right, so you're approaching the person that you're talking to as though you're shy and have the same type of conversation. Okay, go. This is a stupid little exercise, but you can do it. Hey, how's it going? You alright? Yeah. How's it going? What
Your car is so bad.
don't get in your car. All right, so that so come back. So that was a lot different.
That was different.
Yeah, that's different.
That was a lot different. All right, so what if you were overwhelmingly joyful, right? You're on fire. You're excited to be here, and you actually want to be doing what we're doing,
Bring Yolanda up.
right? Yeah. Who wants to do it?
Yolanda.
I think I have a choice.
All right, Yolanda, come on up.
Let's go.
Anybody want to join Yolanda? Who wants to show their joy? Come on, Cleavon, Yolanda, do it. Show us. Yeah, go ahead. Let me get out of your way. You two, come on.
Look at that. She already joyful.
Show us the joy. Show
I'm
it. Yeah.
so happy to be here. We're going to learn some things today. We're going to put the strategy together. 1, 2, 3. We're there.
Yep.
But how we going to do it?
All right.
He going to tell us.
You got that Price is Right.
I like it.
So, when you were angry, what did you do with your body? So I want you to now think to a point in time in your past where you were pissed off about something, where somebody just lit that fuse and you went off.
Use more face muscles.
Are your facial muscles, are they tighter or looser?
Tight.
What about your
Heartbeat jumps.
your heartbeat goes up? What else?
I usually alienate
Your
myself.
voice range.
You separate yourself, right? So you have your own patterns of physiology, right?
Inside I'm shaking. Like I'm so angry.
You-
Like sometimes I'm just
Okay.
like,
Shaking.
Okay.
Nervous system.
Now, what about shy? When you're shy, how do you carry yourself? Where are your shoulders? Are they up or are they down?
Down.
Where's your chin, your head? Where are your eyes? Where's your voice? Is it louder or softer? Okay. Now, when you're joyful,
Crazy.
Open up.
whole body changes, right? So, when you are here, what if every interaction you had, and imagine this, not just when you're here. What if you gave 100% of your energy to joyful?
Is there any way I can avoid Elvis in this situation?
Hey, listen, again, we're back to conditions with you. You and I need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart about conditions. Right? Right?
Hey,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a question though.
So, listen, whatever
When you're done,
you need me,
I need
I'll
you.
be right there. Whenever your conditions create your internal environment, then you're a victim of them. And we have to learn how to change that. So let's talk more about that. We've got to. But your pattern of physiology. Like, let's imagine that you could bring gratitude to everything, right? And the reason I started with gratitude and went through that exercise is because if you prime yourself to be grateful, negative emotions cannot exist in the same place as gratitude. right? You can't be angry and grateful. You can't be sad and grateful. You can't be hopeless and grateful. You can't feel lonely and grateful. Gratitude as an entry point to your life is a great way to change your state. But let's say you're having a hard time doing that. You're having a hard time relating to gratitude. For some reason, you just can't get there. I'm asking you to start priming yourself so that you understand how to feel grateful all the time. Physiology is how you change it. Physiology is how you change your state faster than anything. You ever heard of this? What does this do? It's called a Superman. It's a pose.
Pose.
It
Bodybuilding.
says confident.
After 2 minutes of this, your testosterone increases by 20%. So you having trouble feeling confident? Stand like this for 2 minutes. Right? You find yourself, you're on the phone and you're having a hard time with that conversation. Shoulders back, chin up, stand up, move. A radical change in physiology. The other one, yeah, put your hands behind your back, boom, kick your feet up. That's confidence. It'll raise your testosterone 20%. It'll drop your cortisol as well. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Truth. So you want to change the way you feel, the fastest thing, you want to change the state that you're in, change your physiology. Right? You find yourself, you're like, oh man, I'm bummed. But you go walk outside, right? Go out back into the shop where nobody's gonna see you, out to the side, do whatever you gotta do, jump around, right? Get excited, right? Move around, be in your body, and then go back in and say, all right, I got this. Right? And we'll talk more about how to prime yourself and how to anchor yourself into a positive state. But that's our entry. Gratitude and state changes with physiology.
I said this earlier, but a part of my morning routine is affirmations. Like I
Yep.
gotta list something. Like as soon as I wake up, it's right there. Whether I say it out loud vocally or internalize it, like
Yeah, affirmations are good. We'll get to more of that too.